What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Game Time here on the Game Time Sports Channel. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, joined by the man who is celebrating a 15-game home win streak, has taken control of the NFC East, and might possibly have the number one seed in the division in the NFC. Winston A. Marshall, how are you?
I mean, what do you mean? Because, all I know is the Cowboys were like, oh, it's your birthday? Hold on, here you go. Here are the Eagles on a platter. I know we don't have turkey. And you don't really like turkey because it's dry. How about some Eagle, baby? Cry, Eagles, cry. Fry, Eagles, fry. Fry the Muff had a nice old Eagle leg. It was delicious.
Yeah, there were quite a few Eagle legs, and certainly the Eagles were offering themselves up during this game. They put themselves on a platter with all those fumbles. But yeah, man, we're going to talk about that game for sure. What an incredible game. That was just shocking to see the dominance by the Cowboys on these Eagles. And you thought the Eagles were going to bounce back after the 49ers game, and certainly not. That did not happen. So going to be interesting to see the shifting of balance of power in the NFC. We'll talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about Patrick Mahomes and the Bills and Chiefs situation and all the drama that went on with that. Talk about some Rams action with the Ravens handling business there. A bunch of upsets over the weekend, Winston. One upset that cost me my goddamn fantasy matchup right before the playoffs, affected where I landed in the fantasy playoffs for next week. And now I'm like, oh, man, I'm in some trouble here. So crazy stuff to talk about here on the show. But yikes. Remember, y'all, go ahead. What did you say, Winston?
I just said yikes.
Yeah, exactly. Remember, the Streamlabs are open. I'm going to put the chat here. I'm going to put it in the chat, pin it in the chat, but the address is right above both our heads in the middle there. Send in your sport. Send in your love early. There's a lot to talk about. And Sean Brennan, I hope you are joining us, because in just a few minutes, we're going to get into Let's lead off with what we were already teasing here at the top of the show. Winston, Dak Prescott looking just incredible over the last few games in this season, really the whole season. He threw for 2 touchdowns here. Brandon Aubrey, your rookie kicker, continuing his streak, made 4 field goals to go 30 for 30 so far in terms of field goal kicking. And the Dallas Cowboys got their 15th consecutive home victory. I think they broke their own record there, 33-13 over the Eagles. Dak was 24 of 39 for 271 yards. Hurts only had 197 yards passing and 30 yards rushing. But as I said, the Eagles lost 3 fumbles. And although Dak lost a fumble that turned into a touchdown, they didn't let that deter them, and they just kept going. And they absolutely pummeled these Eagles into submission. So a lot of people now, Winston, this morning or yesterday morning as well, talking about how the Cowboys look like a Super Bowl contender. What is your feeling coming out of this game for both of these teams?
I mean, look, I still think that we are, I would make the argument, the second best team in football. If I'm just being completely honest,
right.
Nobody in the NFL scares me except for the 49ers.
So nobody in the AFC scares you, only the 49ers.
No. Okay. And the only way that I might, that doesn't mean we can't lose to other teams, but as far as being concerned,
yeah,
not concerned about the Bills. They've been very inconsistent. They had a good game against the Chiefs, but again, inconsistent. Yeah. The Dolphins had no business losing that game. I know Tyreek Hill went out, but you gave up 14 points, 15 points.
Come on.
In literally 4.5 minutes. You got a last second 2 touchdown lead.
Yeah.
And you blew that.
Yep.
So I'm not. Yeah. And then the Ravens, the same thing. Good for you for gritting it out against the Rams, but bro, that there's no reason the Rams are on an uptick, but there's no reason that the Rams should have given you that much trouble. So we'll get to all these games coming up. There's nobody in the AFC that I am concerned about. I truly believe that whoever wins the battle of the NFC is winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
But that being said, as good as we are, and we are now, and as much as we're moving things along, we still have to get over the ghost, the haunting of the 49ers, and that worries me. But I've said this about the Eagles for weeks. It's on record.
Yeah.
They have been fraudulent this whole time. They are squeaking out wins. And people kept saying, well, if you're winning, it doesn't matter. And I gave enough platitude for that.
Sure.
But Jalen's turnovers, the defense being pretty sorry. You were having teams that had no business giving you the business, and you barely figured it out at the last. The example of how to beat the Eagles is that if your defense is solid enough, that's a wrap. And the proof of that is not just us and the Niners, who have very great defenses, the Jets, whose offense is middling, but that defense is very, very good, and prove that the Eagles offense has some problems. Yeah, AJ Brown is a beast. Devontae Smith is a beast. But like, if you have some solid corners, like what we held them to, AJ had 94 and Devontae Smith had 73 yards. You kept Jalen Hurts to 197 yards, man, with no touchdowns.
Right.
Like, they literally didn't score. And on top of that, you were able to have the main thing our defense has always been very good about is turnovers. So whether it's interceptions or punching the ball out, as was proven that we got 3 fumble recoveries. Like, knocked out the ball 3 times.
Yeah, one of them.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the type of thing that the Eagles, if they still want to be in this mix, they need to go back and take some real hard looks. Now, mind you, they have a much easier schedule.
Sure. They win out. Yeah, because if they win out, I think they win the division.
They do win the division because we hold all the tiebreakers except for conference play. Because we only have you guys left. Otherwise, it's the Bills, the Dolphins, and I guess the Lions. So we have 2 conference, 2 out conference. And they have nothing but conference. They've got the Giants twice, the Cardinals, and then the Seahawks. They are the Seahawks this week. So all I can really hope for is that the Seahawks, which I still think are a good team, they're just kind of flirting with like the kind of mid title at this point because they're now below 500.
They lost 5 in a row for the first time ever under Pete Carroll.
Right. But the battle of the birds, man, the Eagle, this blood's in the water. Yeah. So if there was ever time for Seattle to step up and to do something, get them now. You know what I'm saying? So
go
ahead.
I was just saying, I don't know if it was Bosa or if it was Warner or if it was Greenlaw. One of the defenders for the 49ers said in the midweek interviews and press conferences that they basically gave you the blueprint to beat the Eagles. And it's up to you all if you want to follow the blueprint or not. And it looked like Dallas absolutely followed the blueprint in how to beat the Eagles. The Eagles are exposed in this way. Their secondary is trash. Darius Slay can do whatever he wants to do, get John, all that kind of stuff. But their secondary is trash. And it's very clear that they are being held together by scotch tape and gum and some chicken wire and some aluminum foil. That's what's keeping these Eagles. And even Jalen, like when Jalen gave up that fumble on that run, by the way, I don't know why you're calling run plays for your injured quarterback. It makes no sense to me. But like when he gave up that fumble, man, the look on his face of just inevitable desperation. Like, I knew this was going to happen. You know, it just didn't look like he was pissed. He wasn't trying to do anything. And I know he's a pretty level-headed guy, but there's a look that you get when you know that you expect to lose, right? You know, when you're probably not gonna have enough to get the job done, and it certainly seemed like that on Jalen's face. And of course, I see all the Eagles fans go, "We still good enough if you sleeping on the 10-3 Eagles, blah blah blah." But now the Eagles at where they're sitting in the rankings here, when you look at the NFL, Winston here, looking at the standings in the conference, they are now in the playoff side of things. They are now 5th. They've fallen from 2nd to 5th. And as you said, they've got the Seahawks and they've got the Giants twice. Now, the Cardinals, who knows what you're going to get with Kyler Murray, but certainly with the Seahawks, who are still fighting for a wild card position, and the Giants, who seem to be reborn on a Jersey zone DeVito, this is not an easy run now. What looked like they could win out now looks like there might be some real legitimate trouble, especially if the Giants seem to find new life after they've won 3 of 4 under DeVito here as their quarterback, upsetting the Packers last night. So the Eagles look to be in trouble, bro. I'm not even joking. Yeah.
No, I know, absolutely, man. And I think the big thing to think, and smarter football minds than me, I've watched, obviously I relished in watching Shady McCoy have to admit that the Cowboys are significantly better than the Eagles. I relished, enjoy having to admit that, okay, maybe Dak is like, MVP. Now, she still kept saying he's the best of the quarterbacks, and she still threw in the caveat of like everybody else is falling off. but that shit was so annoying, like that she still wouldn't just openly let this happen and admit that Dak is playing lights out. He really is. So even with that fumble, there was a split second when they did the fumble recovery 6 that I was concerned, like, shit. Yeah. Okay, here we go. And is it going to rattle it? But it didn't. It just built up resolve. Yeah. And then they made it happen, man. Like you saw big playability out of Ferguson. That he loves doing that hurdle over people like he's old school Elliott, bro. Like, because Elliott loved doing that to people too. So you gotta love that. You gotta love the fact that CD really is that guy. You got Gallup involved. You got Cooks involved. You literally got all of your receivers involved in one way or another. Yeah. Like just as an offensive unit, he is leading them so well, and they are handling their business. And then again, when you have a kicker that can consistently kick near the 60-yard range. Yeah. Like, he didn't even make them look hard. Nope. Like, both of them were down the middle, just chef's kiss, bro. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I'm upset because I had said this to you. I wanted this to be how we opened the show. If you want to go ahead and share this, this is essentially where I'm at right now, bro. That's here we go. So you got the Cowboys, first of the NFC East. Dak MVP. Nick Sirianni is still a bitch. Eagles fans are coping.
Turn that sound down. We're gonna get a strike.
So see what he
look at that.
That's Dak guy. He got home with his girl talking about, yeah, baby. You know I dance with Shakira. You know I'm gonna dance with you too. You know I dance all over them Eagles. Come on now. Like, wow. It is just a very, very good day to be a Cowboys fan. Now, mind you, I've already seen people being assholes about being like, bro, nothing would be better than Dak to win the MVP, them to go like 13-4, 14-3, and then to lose the division round. Y'all can kiss my ass. Kiss my ass, goddammit.
No, man. Look, in years past, I have felt like the Cowboys were a Trojan, or not Trojan horse, what do you call it? Like an old hobby horse that it looked great until you got on it and then it cracked in two. This Cowboys team feels different. I mean, the way they're all playing, CeeDee Lamb has really stepped up. And I saw some analysis here that I really didn't pay attention to in the past, but like McCarthy had changed the offense in the first 6 games of the season. Less motion, less of the passes down the field. He adjusted in the bye week because he saw the offense was struggling. They went back to what Kellen Moore had been calling. They just honed it a bit more, made it work for where Dak is now, and you've seen the offense explode over the last few games and how much they're scoring the points. And let me throw some numbers out to you all to give you some idea of this is not just fool's gold with Dak Prescott. He's apparently number 1 in managing the pocket, tight window throws, and clutch performance so far this season. He has never created more explosive plays than he is creating right now. He's on a 10-game rolling average of explosive play percentage here, where he is producing a 20-plus yard play on over 11% of his dropbacks over the last 10 games. That's 1 out of every 9 dropbacks. That's insane, the level to which he's playing at right now. His interception rate has declined back to career average levels or lower, and he's on pace right now for his lowest single-season interception percentage of the last 5 years at 1.3%. So it is all working, and it doesn't feel like it's desperate. It feels like this is legitimately an offense that is humming on all cylinders, when it's healthy. And so it looks fantastic right now, dude.
There's a couple things too that I really want to talk about, because I see some people being like, oh, if you think the Eagles are out, like, look, you got to a Super Bowl. Yeah. You have veterans who have won the Super Bowl still on the team. Not a lot, but you have a few there. So it doesn't mean that the Eagles couldn't correct themselves. But they're, again, smarter football heads than mine. The biggest thing that they've been talking about beyond this idea of the Eagles needed to stop barely winning games. Yeah. Every single one has talked about how their offense and their defense are some of the most basic high school ass, pedestrian ass plays, and you're not doing things to help your offenses. When you watch Kyle Shanahan plays, He is putting Brock Purdy in such a position to succeed. When you watch Mike McDaniel, he is putting Tua in a position to succeed. Mike McCarthy, with no fucking appendix, not only proved how goddamn tough he is that he had surgery 72 hours before, but he looked at the plays, said this wasn't working for Dak, and is putting Dak in positions to succeed. So when you now look at what is happening with the Eagles, I would make the argument the Eagles are maybe the most athletic team on offense, period. And I know there's a team that has Daniels or that has Deebo Samuel and McCaffrey and all them. I know there's a team down in Miami that has Tyreek Hill and Waddle and all them and a chain and all that. But the Eagles are so fast and so physical. But if you noticed, Gilmore didn't beat AJ Brown because he was faster than them. Gilmore beat AJ Brown because he is a very smart defender in the way that, like Kobe, once he lost that explosive step, became a cerebral assassin, as he used to be called, and was like, I know how to make you shake your shit, and then I'm going to hit you with this wet jumper. Gilmore was like, I know I'm not going to beat you to the ball, but I am going to be in the right position to punch that motherfucker out right when I need to.
He did. And he did on AJ.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. Where the Eagles are in trouble is I don't think it's necessarily the personnel. I think maybe you can look at how there's a few people on the defensive side of the ball that are a little older that you maybe you're a little shaky. It is specifically that the Eagles play calling is so elementary. That's what the Niners meant by we gave you the blueprint on how to beat them. Because they took a look at it and they said, fine, if that's what you want, I'm gonna get X gonna give it to you. And that's literally what happened. And it's gonna keep happening if the Eagles do not evolve their play calling in the last. They better use these last 4 weeks because it's essentially they love to joke. I think it was Stephen A. Smith loves to joke about how the Cowboys have had like a 4-week bye, a 5-week bye because they're playing replayed. Guess what? The Eagles get to have a 4-week bye going into the playoffs. So if they do not handle their business right now and use this as an opportunity to get your momentum back and to upgrade your play calling, then this whole season was for naught because, again, they were barely winning those games previously. It had to be like colossal mistakes for them to essentially get to this point. So.
Yeah, normally looking at a Cowboys rest of the schedule, right? They're at the Bills next week, which I think is going to be a fantastic game. Then they're at the Dolphins. Then they have the Lions at home. Then they're at Washington, right? Which is probably going to be, maybe it'll be for the division. Who knows? But this is not that we're going to win the division. I mean, like if they beat us, they win the division. Right. But I think this is the perfect time for these foursome of games to happen for them, with the Eagles being one of the 4 they just knocked out. If they can go into Buffalo and go into Miami and come back home and beat all 3 of these teams, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Lions, they will be galvanized as a team. Like absolutely a test through fire for all 3 of those teams because they're all winning records. They're all playoff teams right now, potentially playoff teams. And I think that's going to show a lot here. And I see Sean being petty already with this whole idea of like, oh, we're a Commanders fan and a Cowboys fan. Yeah, but we're an impartial, except for fucking Mahomes. We're an impartial show here where we give you the bullshit about our own teams and also call out shit. Now, I'm not saying the Eagles are not going to make the playoffs. I'm saying it's no longer a fucking given that they'll have
home games, that they're going to be the heir apparent to go back to the Super Bowl. There's a lot of what it is now is the Eagles feel to me like what the Vikings were last year. And that's you know what I'm saying, where it was like, oh wow, the Vikings went 10-1 to start the season, or like what they were right neck and neck with the Eagles of like, we can't be touched. And then the minute they got into the playoffs, got bounced by the Giants. And that is what the Eagles are setting themselves up to if they don't make an evolution. Now, mind you, somebody did say, wait a minute, Seahawks are by now. I take that back. I apologize, but they have the easiest remaining schedule in the NFL. Their last real challenge is the Seahawks.
Yes.
And then again, Giants, Arizona, Giants. But now, mind you, the Giants just beat the Packers.
Yeah. And this is what I'm getting at. The Giants right now are 5-8. If the Giants win out, they're 9-8. 9-8 could possibly get you into a wild card in the playoffs. They feel reborn under this Tommy DeVito kid, and especially what they pulled last night. So if they fucking sweep the Eagles, and by the way, if you know your NFC East history, these fucking Giants always seem to find a way to slide in at the tail end of the season to nab a wild card and fuck up people's worlds.
Bro,
who knows what can happen with these Giants?
I hate both the Eagles and the Giants, but nothing would make me happier than if they slid the Eagles Giants game. They did a flex and put them into that Sunday night football slot, because they love to do it to the Cowboys where it was always win and in. That was the whole thing. Nothing would make me happier than if the Eagles continue their downslide and it's like, you have to win this game, guys. And the Giants come and upset them. Nothing would make me happier.
Because it's going to be in New York. That last game of the season is in New York. So if they go, they got the Saints next, the Giants do. If they beat the Saints and then they play in Philly and beat Philly in Philly, then they shock the Rams, which is going to be a real tough game for them. Then they're waiting for the Eagles. I think that's going to be a fascinating game if that's where it goes down. Like Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles, Giants, both those games could define the NFC East division winner, which I think is what you want. If you
but essentially what we need as far as the tiebreaker, because of the order that it goes, is it's division games. So at this point, so if we get all the way down to the last thing, which is conference, we can't beat them, but it's division games. So if we can beat y'all and the Giants can hang one on them, bro.
I think they will, dude.
Oh my God. I just need to get through you, and I need the Giants to get at least one. I would prefer two, but give me at least one, baby. Look, I need my Seahawks, bro. I got my Seahawks gear. I'm gonna be rocking it with my girl. I'm trying to become a 12th man just so we can see them stomp out the Eagles, show them what the real birds are like. You know what I'm saying? I obviously the end game that I really want is the Cowboys to do the damn thing, for Dak to get MVP, for us to go, not just go to the Super Bowl, but win the Super Bowl. That's the end game. But the way that the Eagles have been talked about so much this year, if I'm going to have my heart broken, nothing would make me happier than to watch Philly just completely crumble.
Let me tell you something. I live my life riding the waves of the universe. That's how I live my life. Okay. And it's true. When I know I'm going to win a Schmoedown match, I knew it before I played it. I felt the winds of the universe. When I knew I was going to lose, I felt the winds of the universe turn against me. That's how I live my life. I've watched football and sports this way. I can sense the winds of the universe. To me, we are absolutely heading towards a Cowboys versus 49ers NFC Championship game. And I believe the Cowboys will win that game. And I'll tell you why. Because they've lost 3 times to the 49ers in the last 3 games. And the last one was an absolute mollywhopping. And I think the Cowboys have been circling this thing on their calendar, and they are determined to face those 49ers again. And Purdy's got years left, but the Cowboys may have that extra bit to on the defensive side to short circuit those 49ers. And I think it's going to be an incredible NFC Championship game if that is the matchup. And I can see the Cowboys going and winning the Super Bowl. And if Dak wins the Super Bowl, everybody has to change their mind on Dak. Everybody has to change their analysis on Dak. And to be honest with you, after all the shit he's taken, and look, he's made missteps, he's made mistakes, I think he deserves a reanalysis if he wins that Super Bowl and gets a little credibility. And he'll match a lot of greats like Aaron Rodgers, who've only won one fucking Super Bowl. So,
dude, as a fan of this team, I there is a part of me, for all of the hate we've gotten, that I really do want to be able to rub it in people's faces. But specifically, I think, yes, Dak had a bad year last year, and he should have been criticized for last year. But I feel like the biggest thing that people have always said, the most scrutinized athlete in all of sports is the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And that's only because, and it could be anybody at the position. It has nothing to do with the person. Whoever's at the position is because I got to give Jerry Jones credit as the brand that he's built around the Cowboys, that the brand he's built about America's team, the team you love to hate. They are the most profitable team in all of sports. Like you know what I'm saying? That they're evaluated as the number 1 team in sports and all that kind of stuff as far as money. Of course, you're going to draw all the attention and you're going to get all the hate. And I think Dak has always been a good quarterback. I think he's been put in a number of positions where he isn't necessarily up to win. And then when you have the scrutiny on top of it, for him to handle it the way he has over all the years, I just want all the good things to happen to him. And so that's really where I'm at this point. Is nothing will make me happier as a Cowboys fan, because then we can finally be like, we broke this curse since the 90s. And I'm trying to tell you, putting Jimmy in that ring, that you brought some good ass karma.
I'm telling you right now, back again, riding the universal waves. I feel like that Jimmy in the ring, I think, kind of puts everything to bed, and that finally it kills the last demon. You stop building on the Native American burial ground, and now no more cursing your team. So I think that's also another sign in that direction. Look, Purdy's going to be leading these 49ers for a while. They're going to have other shots to the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean they won't win possibly again against the Cowboys. I just had this weird feeling that the Cowboys are going to go on this rampaging run to get there and play these 49ers. And the reason I say this is because it happens in football all the time. Remember the Jets getting their asses handed to them by the Patriots, like 44-6 with Sanchez as the quarterback. And what happened in the playoffs? Sanchez beat the fucking Patriots. Like, it happens all the time where teams destroy teams. The Patriots beat the Giants on the last game of the season. What did the Giants do? They beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. That shit happens. So you can't just say, oh, well, they won 4 in a row, they're going to beat them. No, sometimes things turn around, for fuck's sake. I took Ethan to overtime, for God's sake.
Well, the last thing, because I know we've been talking about this game for the 30 minutes, which is always, it's a standard now. First game's going to get about a half hour's worth of love, and then we eventually get to the other stuff. So the only other thing that was like popping in through my head, I saw somebody comment something. Hold on. Jeremy was saying, the brand was that way before Jerry got it. That's not entirely true. It is one of the most talked about sports, but Jerry literally hit that branding of America's team. He copyrighted it and really pushed it. And the thing that made the Cowboys what they are now, when you put that branding and you mix it with the fact that they were a dynasty in the 90s and got those 3 rings with some of the best players we've ever seen out of Dion, Irving, Smith, Aikman, and people were talking about the triplets and having Dion in the backfield and all that kind of, with all of that, and then literally became the most successful, literally the highest value team in sports, above Manchester United, above Barcelona, above any big team, the Yankees. Name any big team you could think of in the world, and the Cowboys are worth a decent amount more than them. That in and of itself is why people love to hate it, because we are loud as fans, and because that is a lot of pressure of like, well, if you already own everything else, I want to see you taken down a peg. This is what it is.
Yeah, agreed. We'll see what happens for sure as we go along, but I think it's exciting. It's always exciting when the Cowboys are good, because you love to hate them. You love to hate them, or occasionally respect them, because certainly those last couple of years with Aikman and Emmitt Smith, I mean, those guys were warriors, man. You had to respect what they did. Even though you hated them when they initially started winning, you had to respect them. And that's the circle, and that's always the cycle in the NFL for sure. All right, let's take a quick break here, and because as Winston said, we're at half an hour mark, and then we'll jump into the Chiefs game. Get ready, Sean.
Woo!
All right, let's hit a quick Streamlab. A couple of them. One that came in here from Mike Joyce. He said, my fantasy playoffs are starting this week, and I still have a QB problem. Should I trust the Chiefs Mahomes to get their act together against the Patriots, or go with Justin Fields or CJ Stroud? Well, first of all, Stroud is probably done for the season.
Season?
Yeah, I wouldn't put him back in there if he's in the concussion protocol. The Texans, without their top receiver, looked terrible, okay? And I don't think they've got a chance to come back and do anything now without Tate Dell. Without him, they don't have a chance to win. They had 91 yards in the fourth quarter passing before CJ Stroud got hurt. So that tells you right there, they can't make it work without their number one receiver. And I wouldn't want to put that kid back in to take more punishment when I know it was a nice run for now, but we got to go to the next season.
Who the fuck am I going to play? Derek Carr?
Shit. I would put in Mahomes. I would trust him against the Patriots, because I think they've got something to prove, and the Patriots are kind of shaky. Justin Fields, you don't know what you're going to get. That's a Jekyll and Hyde quarterback. So I would take Mahomes. What about you amongst the three?
I would go in order: Mahomes, Fields, Stroud.
Yeah.
At least for this week. Stroud will probably be out with the concussion
Yeah.
protocol this week.
Yeah.
So I would say I would go Mahomes or Field. Who are the Bears playing?
Oh, good question. I
Because
don't know.
that would alter my thought process here.
Okay.
Is depending on
Detroit.
who
No, that was this past week.
that
Sorry.
was this week, and they beat Detroit.
Chicago plays at Cleveland. Ooh, no, I would not.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
Holy
Mahomes.
shit. No, that's not even a question.
Cleveland defense?
No, sir. Oh my God.
Yeah, are they still available in my fantasy? I might go take that defense if they're available in my fantasy. I kicked myself in the ass. I had the Saints defense sitting right there, and I almost took them.
Why wouldn't you play them?
Stupid.
It's the goddamn Panthers.
All right. Anyway, let's move on here to the big controversy this weekend. The Buffalo Bills beat the Chiefs, marched into Kansas City and beat these Chiefs 20-17. My God, in front of Taylor Swift. How dare they? The Bills' Josh Allen threw for 233 yards with touchdowns, running and throwing. He did throw an interception as well. James Cook, who's quietly been coming on here for these Bills, had 58 yards rushing, caught 5 passes for 83 yards and a score. Mahomes finished with 270 yards passing and a touchdown with an interception. Rashee Rice, who was on my fantasy team, giving me some nice numbers here, had 7 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown. But in the end, Winston, it all came down to that offsides call on Kadarius Toney there, where he was lined up offsides, and there's been and we saw Patrick Mahomes lose his motherfucking mind at the ref, slam his helmet, be held back like you see the little kid on the playground having his buddies hold him back like he's really going to do something, but he's not going to do anything. They're on the sidelines, and then in the end, Reed and Mahomes said it was embarrassing that the referees cost them the game. No, not playing well on offense cost you the game. And then all these Chiefs conspiracy theorists put on their tinfoil hats and started to go out on social media and be like, it wasn't called here. It wasn't called here. Breaking news, refs are human beings. Breaking news, refs are inconsistent. And then they claim that it's a conspiracy against the Chiefs. So it's just kind of crazy. And then Mahomes had the gall to say, we just need to let the players decide the game, not the referees, when he benefited from a questionable pass interference call in the Super Bowl to beat the Eagles. So a lot in all of this. And to Patrick's credit, though, because contrary to people who don't have a blood feud than Patrick, he apologized on radio yesterday. Very classy response, took back everything they said. It was a bad reaction. It's not good for the kids to see that. So credit to him. But, dude, this team is falling apart. I don't care what anybody tells me. The offense is garbage, and this team is falling apart. Your thoughts coming out of this game and your thoughts on Mahomes and Andy Reid's reactions to the refs. Blaming
what this feels like to me.
Yeah.
Now that we've had enough of a sample size to see, this reminds me of the Warriors around when Kevin Durant tore his Achilles.
Yep.
So that was after that playoffs.
Yeah.
And he decided to leave for New York, and Klay Thompson also ended up getting hurt, and he tore his ACL. So then the following year, Warriors. Now the Chiefs are not that bad because if I remember, the Warriors had a losing season at that season.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things that as long as you still had Steph Curry, you were like, anything could happen.
Right.
Anything could happen at any point in time, and he would win games that they had no business winning.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. However, they are not the Chiefs that were buzzing with Durant and Curry and Thompson and Draymond, and they're not. No. They're not. And if you're saying anything to the contrary, then you are wearing blinders. Then you are Stevie Wonder. That like, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is. That you like Taylor being there so much that you're just not aware of the fact of what's actually happening on the field.
Yeah.
And so I think there are 2 things I want to specifically talk about because the game is the game. They were gonna go back and forth. It is what it is. Yeah. I'm mad I didn't play Cook. I ended up losing a game that I really needed because I didn't play Cook. It's a whole thing. I want to talk about 2 things in particular.
Go ahead.
The first for this whole idea of like you're not calling stuff, or people are out to get us. You would like to share this tweet thread.
Oh, yes.
This mind you, it's from a Broncos fan, so they're gonna be a little biased, but they went and did their research because they were upset. Yeah. And here are a laundry list a thread, if you will, from the past 2 seasons of calls that got away with the Chiefs. I won't. You got this holding. You can still call that holding. You can still call it, but it was a little ticky tacky.
So ticky tack, man.
You have this offensive pass interference call that was called that doesn't make any sense because that was not at all. You have this no call here going on with Minnesota. That was insane. That definitely was a roughing the passer type situation. Absurd.
Took his helmet off and got to stay in the game. Yes.
This no call that also happened, this hold happening right here.
Oh my God,
there's no business for that whatsoever, but we're going to let that slide. There's another no call here.
Face mask right there, hands to the face.
The tripping. No, that's tripping.
Yep.
Tripping. Unnecessary roughness here called. That is not. He was inbounds.
In the field of play.
Like, this goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to say about this whole thing, I don't really appreciate the fact that he's flipping out like this. And I get in the moment, he's a playmaker, so he's freaking out. So there's a lot happening in that moment. I just thought that was very tactless to go up to Josh Allen after that game.
Here we go. Yeah.
To go and to not. Here, I'll run it back.
Here, let me see if we can hear him. I mean, what are you doing? The guy just won the game. Have some sportsmanship and say to the guy, good game, good game. Then walk away. Yeah.
Say it to your teammates. Right. Say it to your coach.
Yeah.
But he tried to run up on the ref. They had footage of him on the sideline trying to scream and run up on the ref.
Yes.
Why are you walking up to Josh Allen and saying this? Not good game, my guy.
Yeah.
Congratulations. But so all of that is just ridiculous. But then just also from the mindset, man, somebody made a very good point. What Patrick Mahomes did in that, to have that freak out, did not come from a place of they were saying it wasn't that, it was misdirected anger.
Yeah, of course.
It's this idea that if you go to work and your boss is being a real piece of shit to you all day, that you come home and like your kid left their Lego out and you step on it. And I know those shits hurt. They hurt a lot. Yeah. But for you to completely lose it on your kid and cuss them out or to spank them or whatever, when it was the crime, punishment don't meet the crime. You're not mad at your kid. No. You're mad at your boss. Yeah. And if we're being honest, Patrick Mahomes has had it up to here with these receivers, because if we're being honest, people are like, well, just let him play. The motherfucker was offsides. Yeah. And enough receivers that have played this game at the highest level, Keyshawn, Michael Irving, Shannon Sharp, Ocho Cinco, they all said it. They were like, look, I feel one way or the other about the call, sure, but you learn from elementary school. You check in with the ref. Am I good, ref? So this idea of like, he's supposed to tell you, no, he's not. He's supposed to call fouls, but if you ask him, if you check in and go, am I good? He'll say, step back, 11. You're a little too far, etc., etc. They will do that check for you, but you have to check in.
Yeah, and just to be fair, let's play this real quick, because here's Tony coming in on this play, and he thinks this is checking with the refs. Literally a split second of and no way he didn't even finish lining up. Like, that's the crazy part of it.
And on top of that, you have a situation where it's not like the ref waited until the play was over and threw the flag. As soon, if there's anywhere to find the play, I don't know if you have it on tap anywhere.
Yeah.
But as soon as that play happens, hold on, let's see. If I type in offsides, it might be somewhere.
But Tony offsides. Yeah.
The flag immediately comes out. Yeah. So it's not like they tried to then like turn one over on them. You know what I'm saying? The flag immediately comes out. So again, I understand people feeling some type of way, but if every single person at the highest level, you're talking about receivers that are in the Hall of Fame, that have won Super Bowls, Rex Ryan, which has his own, but like they have all said it. You know what to do. And on top of that, that's what I'm saying. There is a culture problem with the Chiefs. It is very clear what Rex Ryan said is like, Bieniemy, it isn't just the play calling.
Yeah.
It is the discipline. He was saying that if you look at what's happening in Washington, yes, Washington isn't necessarily winning games, but that's a Ron Rivera issue.
Right.
But those receivers 100%. Are balling. There's a reason why Sam Howell. There's a reason why Sam Howell is actually doing pretty decent for y'all being not very great this year.
Right. Yeah.
And it's because Bieniemy whips those teams into shape. You do not have that same Bieniemy discipline on these receivers because you had some of these same receivers last year, but they're making more boneheaded mistakes now than they are then. There is a lack of discipline that's happening. 36 drop passes is a lack of discipline. You are paid millions to catch the ball. Millions. And you are dropping this many. You're stepping off sides. And I get what people are saying about, well, what about Von Miller the next play? You just said about people being human and everything else like that. So if they missed it, they missed it. But this idea that the fix was in, no, it wasn't.
I don't know.
Like, that's nonsense.
And apparently, and they have footage that Tony was lined up slightly off sides on 5 separate plays in the game. And Chiefs fans are trying to say, they didn't call it on those times. That's not a positive. That's not a positive in your favor. That's even more evidence that this guy is apparently not paying attention in practice, that Andy Reid is not getting across to this receiver who's been in the NFL for like 3 or 4 years now about the basic fucking thing to do as a wide receiver when you line up on the line. Check after you set yourself, check with the referee that you're good to go. Then you go. He is lining up consistently off sides. That's not the ref's fault for not calling him every time. It's his fault for being an undisciplined receiver. Right. And the Von Miller situation, I think, is nonsense. But Von is not offsides, then happens to fall forward as the ball is snapped, literally at the same time. And Chiefs fans are going, he was offsides. Bull fucking shit. It was the same goddamn time as the ball is snapped. He goes, boom, there's the snap. So he fell forward just as the ball is snapped. Where is the offside?
It's literally it's close. It's close. It's close as fuck. And if it was called, I would have said that's fine. In
that's
the same
fine.
way with it not being called, I think it's also fine. I just think the one thing I have said above all else, unless it is something so egregious, the Saints no call where the Rams made it to the Super Bowl off of that. That's egregious.
Yeah.
And you could say that was the moment that was making the game.
Yeah.
But unless that was something that could be said, again, I'm so curious. Do we know how many drops happened this game?
No, I don't know. I don't know how many drops happened in this game. Yeah.
All I'm saying is this, man, is that, again, the Bills' real problem is a discipline problem.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
Chiefs problem.
Sorry. The Chiefs problem is a discipline problem.
Yeah.
It is a discipline problem, especially when there is blood in the water for the Bills. You should have been able to put them away a while ago because think about it, man. Stephon Diggs had 24 yards.
Yeah.
You held him to, he was targeted 11 times and you held him to 4 catches and 24. Your defense has never played this well.
Yeah.
This defense has not been like this since the Chiefs of the 90s. Shannon Sharp was talking about he loves seeing the Chiefs defense like this because that's what they used to be, hitters. They would hit you in the mouth. Right. So to see this, the blood was in the water with the Chiefs. And I know Josh Allen, I am on one. Josh Allen was making insane plays. The one off the damn out, like on the out of bounds, insane.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to the Chiefs are just not disciplined on offense, man.
They're just not good on offense. That's the thing at the end of the day, man. When you look at it, I mean, the Bills had scored 14 points before the Chiefs even looked remotely decent on offense. And that tells you that people are studying with this deep into the season. All defenses have enough tape on your offense. All defenses have enough tape on your offense and where you're vulnerable, where your strengths are, and how they can counter them. And the Bills came in desperate, hungry, and needing a victory. The Von Miller situation off the field, which is a horrible situation if all those allegations are true. The Sean McDermott stuff, where he was talking about 9/11 a couple of years ago or 3 years ago in a meeting with the players, which seems like a little bit of character assassination, although I respect people reporting on it. It was a hell of a tough week. This is the time to destroy the Bills once and for all and kill Josh Allen's confidence as the quarterback of the Bills. but they came in galvanized. They came in ready to win the game, and they did everything they could to win the game in the first half. And in the second half, we're able to hold off the Chiefs and what have you. And this post press conference, when they're like, Mahomes said, you ruined a legendary play off of this call. I was like, get the fuck out of here. The flag was thrown immediately. It wasn't like soccer where they raised the offside flag after you've scored the goal.
Right.
You're offside. The flag, as you said, Winston, was thrown immediately. In no way did the ref know that this whole situation was going to happen. And so to me, that's the thing when you look at it, when you take it all away, it was a legitimate call at a time. Yes, it's crunch time, but that if he was just barely offside, a toe, that's different. 5 inches, that is half your foot. That is obvious that you are way offside and getting an advantage. And the fact that he's the one that scored the touchdown, it makes the flag even more worthy because he put himself in a position by being ahead of the play to be in a situation where Kelsey could throw him the ball. Because remember, the defender peeled off trying to stop Kelsey from throwing the ball, and the defender was just a split second late from knocking that ball as it was heading towards to Tony. So to me, that's the thing at the end of the day. But look, Patrick's reaction, he's been a great ambassador for the NFL, certainly doing all those State Farm commercials. The kid's a winner. He's also a super nerd. And what you saw on the sideline was nerd rage. Winston, you and I know we've experienced and seen nerd rage.
My guy said nerd rage.
He is nerd raging is what he's doing. Come on. I mean, that's nerd raging.
Yeah.
Whereas Tom Brady, they show the video of Tom Brady confronting the refs. That's a man confronting the refs. This is a nerd confronting the refs, which is slamming your helmet, being held back by your guys, and then having the rage take over you so much that you are telling you're bitching to the opposing quarterback about a play that you felt was unfair to you and helped the opposing quarterback win the game. That is so disrespectful. But again, to Patrick's credit, he apologized for his behavior. He said it wasn't the thing to do. Andy Reid came out and said that Tony did not point to the refs and get the official word. So kill that conspiracy now. And he said he's going to do better in training Tony to be aware of that situation. So the Chiefs are either going to implode or somehow find new strength.
I'll just put it to you this way, man. If I'm in a 55 and I'm doing 110 and I drift like around a light and stuff like that, and I get pulled over and get a damn ticket and all that shit, I'm not going to tell the damn police officer, man, you ruined the best drift of all time. Like, mind you, this is a play that would have gone down in Travis's highlight reel for MVP for the Hall of Fame. This is arguably the best play of the year if it happens.
If it had been legal. Yeah.
But again, like any other offsides, because Dak technically threw an interception in this game, but it was on a free play. It doesn't matter because an offsides had already happened.
Right.
So sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, what do you want them to say? You ruined a great interception by calling that offsides. That's not how it works. As the old ladies say in that commercial, that's not how any of this works.
No, but I'll tell you right now, if the Chiefs end up blowing it this year, and when it's all said and done, they blew it from what would have been probably their most potent season because they decided the receiver issue was fine. Week 1, people were like, this looks like a problem.
Yeah.
And they kept saying, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And here we are.
The Chiefs are 8-5 and third in the conference right now.
Dude, they might lose their own fucking division.
Let me tell you right now. I told you, the Broncos are getting into these fucking playoffs, man. The Broncos look ready. They might take that division from the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 8-5. Guess who else is 8-5? Jacksonville, Cleveland. Pittsburgh, I think, is going to fall away. The Colts might fall away. Texans might fall away. Cincinnati seems like they got new life. Denver is certainly going to get into these playoffs, maybe even take the division. And look out for the Bills now. After this victory, if they start to go on a little bit of run, and I know you've got them next, you're in Buffalo, we'll see what happens. If they start to go on a little bit of a mini run here, the Bills, they could get themselves in the playoffs, and it's all insane now. And the Chiefs could get knocked out of the playoffs, which is remotely crazy.
I don't think they're not going to miss the playoffs, but
I don't know, bro.
But I think what Sean, I know Sean is he's like, we would never fall so far. I need you to remember,
please.
Sean Payton is one of the greatest coaches to ever. I know Andy Reid is too, but we've said what those issues are. What do you see the demons that Sean Payton has been able to exercise out of the Broncos? That they are rolling, and Russell Wilson looks he ain't playing like he was when he first was the hotness. But Russell Wilson out here being like, bitch, I've been to 2 Super Bowls. Bitch, I've been a Super Bowl MVP. Oh, he didn't win the MVP. The one that they did do, that was the defense. Doesn't matter. Russell Wilson has done some things. So you better watch your ass.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to have happen is you wake up and all of a sudden you lost your motherfucking division, bro.
Listen, I think the division is definitely in play for them to lose. Now, we'll see what happens against New England, but if there's anything Bill Belichick would love nothing more to do is to beat Andy Reid in New England when the Chiefs are injured the way they are. Look, they shocked the Steelers.
Who they got left?
Beat the Steelers. They've got the Raiders here who, say what you will. They scored no points against the Vikings. That's a terrible thing. But their defense is strong, the Raiders. You never know what you're going to. Then you've got the Bengals, and then you've got these crazy Chargers, depending on if Justin Herbert is going to be able to come back from that injury or not, his right index finger injury. We will see. But that Bengals game, I think, is going to be such an interesting game.
They have no business losing their last 4 games.
But
I had said that the only real test was going to be the Bills, and they lost that test. So they have no business losing these last 4 games, but 2 of them are division games.
Yes.
We've talked about this a million times. Even if you are the worst team in football, nothing is more satisfying than taking your division rival who is on a tear, because you know them. You play them twice a year. Right. It is so important because the fans get into it. You get into it. I could 1,000% see the Raiders or the Chargers stealing one, if not both, just to stick it to the Chiefs, because, again, there is blood in the water.
The Chargers have already beaten the Chiefs 31-7. Oh, no, so the Chargers lost to the Chiefs 31-17 earlier this season. We saw the Broncos, after they got beat by the Chiefs, come back and beat the Chiefs. So don't be surprised if the Chargers do it in Los Angeles there. The Raiders got beat by these Chiefs to 31-17. Could be some revenge on the mind there. So this is going to be an interesting last few games for the Chiefs for sure.
Oh, I think it's just been officially announced that Herbert is out for the season.
Oh, all right.
Because he's having season-ending surgery. Because I think he broke his finger,
his right index finger.
Yeah. So that's it for Herbert on the season. But to be honest with you, I wonder. I know they just paid him. I wonder if this is it for Herbert with the Chargers. I know you're going to get rid of Staley for sure.
They got to get a new coach, dog. Yeah.
They just got to get a new coach, man, because he's got to – you know what's real funny? Seeing how well we're doing, all of a sudden, Kellen Moore. Sir.
So they have no other quarterback on their roster except a guy named Easton Stick, who I've never heard of, out of North Dakota State, who was picked in that 5th round in 2019. So there's no quarterbacks left, man. You can't be getting anybody now. Like Joe Flacco was the last one, and he's apparently going to lead the Browns to the playoffs. So madness on so many levels. This is madness.
I literally feel like the only reason that Joe Flacco did that well is they were like, fuck, I haven't watched a Joe Flacco tape in a long time. How does he play? Like, they just forgot, bro. Because, like, what the hell?
I thought this man was 38 years old. Anyway, we'll see what happens with the Chiefs. We'll see what I mean. Of course, the Chiefs most likely will get in the playoffs, but you can't rule it out that they could go on an absolute nosedive here after everything. And by the way, the NFL is reviewing all the comments from Mahomes and Andy Reid, so they're probably going to find them. I don't think they're going to ban them any games, but they're probably going to find them. So that's going to be a pretty penny out of your pocket. But let me ask you one last question about this game. And Sean, I hope you're paying attention. Don't we give players shit after they play a hard game and then they're out partying that night? Travis Kelce went to a birthday party with Taylor Swift after the game, taking pictures, smiling, having a good time. Hasn't it been in the past that players have gotten shit for going out and partying after a tough loss and having fun? Patrick, James Harden got shit for that. So many athletes, usually black, have gotten shit for this partying after a tough loss type thing. Why is Kelsey given a pass? Is it because everybody loves Kelsey, everybody loves Taylor? I don't understand. Because if my top receiver was out partying after we blew a big game in the conference, I might not be so happy to see that.
I mean, look, he did his job. He you know how sometimes typically coach was like
fair point.
If it was a situation where I literally, you know how sometimes coach would be like, nah. I remember one game, I'll never forget this, high school basketball, bro. I made all 8 of my free throws, but we shot 20% from the line.
Ooh.
Coach goes, as soon as we lost that game, he said, say goodbye to your parents, tell them you will see them in the morning. And then he put us on the line, and we did this game where it was everybody on the team, all 18 of us, would go to the line and shoot 2 free throws in a row. If you missed either one, you ran a suicide for each missed one, and then you had to come back and do another 2 in a row. When I tell you we ran 35 suicides. So, but then there would be times that happened that it didn't happen that egregiously, but there was definitely a time where I wasn't a starter. I came off the bench. So when you had a situation where all the starters did that, coach goes, I have all the respect in the world for second string. Y'all did your job. You can go home. And the starters had to do it again. Right. So this is a situation where Travis Kelce had 10 targets. He had 6 receptions for 83 yards. He even had the play of the game in a situation where the play wasn't even able to be used. Right. So Travis Kelce can go to as many parties as he wants because he did what he was supposed to do. And he also didn't throw a hissy fit to the damn media.
That's fair. Yeah, because, Chris Paul and Paul Pierce got shit for partying in LA after their playoff loss. I know it happens in Manchester United. A number of players under Sir Alex Ferguson, if they lost and went partying the night and got caught, or just read the riot act, certainly when they lost to Man City years ago, that happened. And what was the other one that I was looking at here? Yeah, James Harden, certainly. Gronkowski, remember when they lost in 2000, lost to the Giants. He went out partying shirtless at a party and got shit for it. So
my follow-up question is what is the follow-up to that? So if you're talking about we lost a game and then we got to go out on Thursday and play again or whatever, then I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
And I know we all want everybody to be Kobe, but let's be honest, Kobe was in a certain way, as much as I love him, a sociopath. Because the way he worked out was just not, you know what I'm saying? There's very few people on this planet that is what they do. Even if you're even within top athletes, that is very rare. But if it's a situation where it's like, hey man, we just lost in the NFC Championship game and I'm sad, so I'm going to go get drunk. How many of us have done that? How many of us have gotten fired and you decided, yo, fuck it, we're going out? You know what I'm saying? What are we talking about here? But if it's so he can have a pass on that. Okay. The problem is when you have Odell Beckham Jr. going on boats before a playoff game.
Before you're right, exactly.
That is the problem. I'm down in Cabo before a playoff game. Are you out of your fucking mind? Because we actually lost. I didn't play football, but our team, my freshman year of high school, was going to win the state championship for football, and we were playing against a team that we beat the brakes off of previously. So they got wasted the night before and were hungover and got the brakes beat off them. And we had no business losing to this team, and they ended up winning. That was our rival too. We ended up losing the damn state championship to them. It's embarrassing.
All I'm going to say is, look, I eat McDonald's. I like McDonald's. You can't eat it every day, for God's sakes. Take care of your body. But Tyreek Hill, there was a big deal by Tyreek Hill bringing in a bag of McDonald's on the way to the game last night, and he twisted his ankle. So I'm just saying, you don't want to eat
nothing to do with it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Get out of here.
Just be careful is all I'm saying. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, let's move on. 2 games for an hour. All right. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel. We're going to jump into other games here. We're going to take a quick break here. And we only had 31 likes. We had 70 of you all watching right now. Come on, guys. Hit that thumbs up button. It literally takes you 2 seconds. And we'll be right back right after this. Whew, I have to calm down sometimes from these games.
2 games.
real,
2 games.
real quick, Keith Murphy, the unbeaten, sent in Streamlab. Thank you, Keith. And please, y'all send in Streamlabs here. We're getting into the latter parts of the show here. Why do you think the Cowboys will beat the Niners when the scoring margin continues to increase each time they play? I could see if they were getting close. Well, the way I look at it is sometimes the scoring margin gets bigger and bigger, but you're learning as the scoring margin gets bigger and bigger. It's a weird thing about sports. And then when the time comes, you put it all together, you get that victory. It doesn't mean you own the rivalry, right? But for that one game, they were able to figure them out. And I feel like the Cowboys are due, which is why I think it could happen. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm saying it could happen, and I won't be surprised if it does. Winston, do you want to say anything on this?
I think it's a situation where you have to remember that yes, there is this level of kind of owning stuff, but there is like, how many times did you watch like Samurai Jack get beat by Aku and then finally he ended up finishing it? You know what I'm saying? How many times like did you watch, even like, I'm not gonna call us the villains, but how many times did Rita Repulsa get beat by the Power Rangers, then one day blew up the command center, got rid of their Zords? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's one, it's any given Sunday, and two, to honestly say that the Niners are that much more talented or anything like that is silly to me, because we're doing all sorts of things. And truthfully, that loss was the last straw of little things that we needed to change, because even though we lost to the Eagles the first time, if you go and look at the tape, we won that game in everything but the absolute final score. And that was what, and the proof of that is we took what was building in that game, and we expanded the hell out of it in this one and embarrassed them. So it's definitely just a situation that, like, all that's, yes, I get it. We lost against the Eagles, but again, you were watching. What you were seeing at that time was this. So the Eagles were making a lot of mistakes, and they weren't doing as good as they were, and the Cowboys were doing this, and we hadn't passed them yet in that regard because we lost the game. But Dak outplayed Jalen. Our defense did a lot of work, and then this was just continuing to happen. So that's all I'm saying. We are rising to what is needed to be done, and specifically, we needed Dak to be a leader, and he is learning how to do that. So either way, that's all I'm saying, man, is that we are watching this team evolve, and do the things that need to be done to go on a run.
We'll see what happens. Speaking of those 49ers, let's move on to that here. Deebo Samuel scored 2 touchdowns for these 49ers. Beautiful touchdowns. Brock Purdy threw for a career-best 368 yards, and the 49ers held off the Seahawks here, beating them 28-16. Here are the crazy numbers. George Kittle had a long touchdown catch. Christian McCaffrey ran for 145 yards in this game. Brandon Ayuk had 126 yards receiving. And as I said, Deebo Samuel had 2 fantastic touchdowns here. And the San Francisco 49ers won their division here because of the loss last night there by the Packers there. Seattle's lost 4 games for the first time in 14 seasons under Pete Carroll, and have lost 5 in a row to the 49ers here. Now, to be fair, Drew Lock played for Geno Smith because Geno Smith just didn't pass the physical test there for them in the warm-up here. And in the end, that's who they played against. But Brock Purdy had became the 4th player to complete at least 70% of his passes in 7 straight games. Guess who holds the record? Joe fucking Montana with 8 in 1989 for the San Francisco 49ers. If he beats Joe Montana's record, for God's sakes, what else do we need to see from Brock Purdy? So what's your thoughts coming out of this game here, man? We do know that Fred Warner and DK Metcalf got kicked out of the game because they got into it with each other. But what's your thoughts?
I mean, obviously Purdy is still balling. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I still look at the fact that, God, dude, a lot of this is the yards after catch from these dudes, the moves that people are putting on people. Like, you still have to get the ball to a certain place. But I think one of the difference that I've been seeing, like where I'll still give even Jalen Hurts credit, like for example, that first game against the Eagles, there was a beautiful pass that beat Bland with, I believe it was Devontae Smith, but that's because the ball was being put in a pinpoint perfect place to do. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's not that Purdy isn't making those throws. He is. He's done a number of them, but that's not his main MO. His main MO is that give Debo the ball, he'll make some shit happen. Get Ayuk the ball, he'll make some shit happen. There was a play with Kittle where Kittle called one and he said, he went around and scored a touchdown. Like, you know what I'm saying? He literally, like, it's right here. I opened up the game and it's giving me the highlight. George Kittle makes multiple defenders miss on a 44-yard 49ers TD. So it's one of those things where Purdy still deserves all the credit in the world. You still have to make sure the ball is there in the first place. Yeah. But I am like, when people are like, I think Purdy deserves the MVP more than like Dak or Tyreek Hill. I don't agree with that, because I'm looking at the fact that it is his whole support staff that are individually taking the little crumb that's being given to them and saying, bitch, like, you know what I'm saying? Like McCaffrey and Trent Williams are more MVPs to me than you know what I'm saying? Like, and that again, I'm not taking anything away from Brock Purdy. He is still, all those stats you just named, he's still out here in the streets doing what needs to be done. I'm just saying that specifically when you have, you know, Hulk and Captain America and Iron Man and Thor, I see someone mention Hawkeye. Hawkeye is still there, and Hawkeye is still calling things, and he's still shooting a couple people here and there. Yeah, but Hawkeye ain't taking out one of them giant worms. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hawkeye. Who's Hawkeye in this one?
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Oh yeah, right. Brock Purdy's Hawkeye. No, I think Brock Purdy is. Well, I guess you're right. I guess he'd be
dude. Christian McCaffrey is very clearly Captain America. Yeah. You've got, not just because he's white.
Well, it does help.
It feels like with that hair, that George Kittle is Thor. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Debo is definitely, I would have to say, probably Iron Man.
Okay.
Just the way that he's just like, just so many ways that he can like just weaponize stuff. It feels like Ayuk is Black Widow, just so agile the way he's doing certain stuff. And then Trent Williams is Hulk. He just Hulk smash. He run through everybody, boy. It's like Brock Purdy is definitely Hawkeye. And that's still an Avenger. That's still a founding member. That's still somebody that, when he was mind controlled by Loki, was giving him the business. So that doesn't take away from him. But Purdy is Hawkeye, okay? There's a lot stronger Avengers out here in these streets.
No, man. I would say Shanahan's Hawkeye and Purdy.
He's Nick Fury. No, because Nick Fury shot a damn plane out the motherfucking sky with one rocket that was mid-motion and almost capped another with a pistol. Nah, son.
I think that's right. Bo says Hulk. I think that's a fair point you can make.
You think Bo says? I think it's got to be Trent. I think
it's
on
the offensive side. Trent is definitely Hulk.
I would say Bosa. What's the racist Avenger?
I don't know what the racist Avenger is. Bucky? Maybe Bucky. I don't know. Getting a new arm in the Black Country. Hanging out. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Whatever. Bo says Odin. He's out here being like, just he hates all humans. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just
perfect. No, he's Loki because he's evil. He's Loki. That would be the early Loki. All right, let's move on to this Ravens game here with the Rams. This was a damn good game. I loved the first batch of games. I didn't expect much at 10 in the morning. I was just going to play on my computer, and then these games got real close and real tight. This Rams-Ravens game was back and forth. The Rams, for 6-7, now that they've got their guys back like Kyren Williams, they are humming on offense. They're a dangerous team. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but they're not a team you want to play right now in the back half of the season. They gave the Ravens all they could handle, and the Ravens needed a 76-yard punt return in overtime after both teams had gone 3 and out to win the game. And there was even a block in the back that didn't get called. Let's go crazy. You didn't see, the Matt Stafford throwing his helmet or going after the refs in that situation. And it was a loss for the Rams. But the Ravens, I don't know what you take away from this game. Is this just that the Rams are better than people think because of their record? and the Ravens still got the job done. So you want to give them credit. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think that the
Yeah.
Rams showed a blueprint of the places in which the Ravens are severely lacking. Like
Yeah.
there's no reason that they should be like that. I think my biggest takeaway is we've already known that Zay Flowers is a stud. Dude, welcome back to Odell. This is like 3 games in a row now. Odell is balling.
OBJ.
And now the tandem of Flowers and Beckham is insane.
Scary.
And I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
If they still had Mark Andrews, I think they probably would have won out since he's been injured. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like that you just add that both with the extra blocking, but then also who he is as a receiver. But I think it also forced OBJ to step up a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
But the Ravens are still, they're doing their thing. They're very lucky that the Dolphins lost for sure.
Yeah.
I just saw somebody comment that. That's definitely a thing. But I think the only thing that makes me sadder with the Rams, they can't go in and ruin anybody's day. Maybe the Saints, because the Saints now have the Giants. That should be a layup for them. They got the Rams, and then the Bucs and the Falcons. They should be able to handle it, especially if they want to win the division, because they're all Tampa Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans are all at 6 and 7.
Yeah.
The only team it looks like the Rams could potentially derail is New Orleans
to win the division.
For the Saints to win the division, because what Tampa Bay plays the Packers. Well, Tampa Bay is probably screwed. The Tampa Bay plays the Packers, Jaguars, and Saints.
Yeah.
And then the Panthers. So that's 3 hard games for them. So Tampa Bay might be screwed. And then let me look at Atlanta real quick.
Some shitty team is going to get into these fucking playoffs.
It always happens. It keeps coming out of the South too. The South has been bad for a while.
That sucks.
All right. I actually think that then they have a comparable kind of schedule so it's really coming down to, it looks like Atlanta and New Orleans based off of what the remaining schedule here. So there's that. But if we're just talking about this game, man, I mean, good for the Rams for being a mix-up. I hope what they could potentially do for us, they could do something real funny right now, and they could go up here and beat the brakes off of the Niners for the last game of the season and maybe give us the number 1 seed if we can hold tight.
Yeah.
Bro, that would be hilarious.
Look, McVay and Shanahan, they always play each other tight. You never know who's going to win. So I would not be surprised if that happened. I would not. The Rams have beaten 49ers when you don't expect the 49ers. I mean, they almost beat them in the NFC Championship game. They were close in that game. People forget how close Jimmy G and Shanahan were to leading them over the Rams before the Rams went in and won the Super Bowl. So you never know. You never know for sure. But look, they've got the Commanders next. They're gonna absolutely prison rape us. Then they've got the Saints. They'll probably most likely beat the Saints. Although the Saints, of all the teams in the NFC South, the Saints are the only team with a positive point differential. And that usually means you're a playoff team. So they may be quietly a little bit better than we think and may come out of this whole thing, but you never know. Then they're at the Giants. So that could be an interesting game if the Giants have won their last 2 games and they're about to play these Rams. Who's going to win that game could determine who might get a wild card spot. So interesting stuff here as we go in these last 4 games of the season, which is crazy to think about. All right. And speaking of the Ravens and the Rams, a former Raven here, Joe Flacco, we mentioned earlier, threw 3 touchdown passes and helped the Cleveland Browns beat Trevor Lawrence and these supposedly playoff-bound Jacksonville Jaguars 31-27. He threw 311 yards here. He went 26 of 45. He's improved as a starter in Cleveland to 10-2. I think that means whenever he started a game in Cleveland, he has won 10 out of 12 games. I don't think he's been a starter for Cleveland here. He threw for 565 yards and 5 touchdowns over the last 2 starts here. And he threw a 41-yarder to David Bell, which was absolutely beautiful when the Jags went on this blitz. But Trevor Lawrence played despite spraining his right ankle. He threw 3 interceptions in the game, which of course helped. But that Browns defense is no joke here, man. Coming out of this game, though, the Jaguars didn't look strong and ended up losing this game here. They look banged up, man. And I don't know if they're going to make any noise in the playoffs. But all of a sudden, if Flacco is like a Trent Dilfer situation here and just rides the defense, brother, the Browns might be scary fucking good. And I don't know what to think now. Up is down, black is white, for God's sakes. What are your thoughts, man?
If Flacco can hold on, how many times did we see Flacco do the similar thing when he went up to the Jets? All of a sudden, because people
Yeah,
hadn't seen
good
tape on
point.
him in a while, he balled out, and then people caught up with him. They remembered who he is, and maybe he started to. On top of that, fresh, when you're
Yeah,
fresh,
right. Good point.
he's 38. So take a couple
Yeah.
hits
Yeah.
and see if you are still doing that. It's very different when you get hit when you're a 25-year-old versus when you're 38, bro.
Yeah.
You need proof. Think about my birthday. I had a great birthday party.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Winston. Happy
Thank
belated
you.
birthday. Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
You.
Happy
No,
belated
all
birthday.
good. All
Yes,
good.
yes.
Them hangovers ain't what we bout no more.
No,
you know what I'm saying? You could
No,
at
bro.
22, if you really went too hard, you'd be like, dude, I feel like ass. You go eat breakfast. I actually could take the day on.
Of course.
If I'm hungover now, I've lost a day, maybe 2 days. So,
Brother, we got drunk on Thursday night on the Geek Buddies. We did a happy hour show, our first show ever. Me and Shannon got drunk 2 hours from 7 to 9. I was a wreck for the next 2 days. Yeah, I can't drink anymore. I don't drink. It's not my natural thing. And I cannot drink anymore like I used to. You're 100% right. So the body responds differently. Yeah, I can't even imagine being hit by the level of players that you get hit now a days as in a 38-year-old body, for God's sakes.
Nope. Can't do it.
But they've got the Browns, the Texans, the Jets, and they're at Cincinnati for the Bengals' final game of the season. This could be a real interesting run for these Browns. I think they can beat the Browns. I think they can beat the Texans now, depending on CJ Stroud's situation. They can definitely beat the Jets, and I hope they destroy Aaron Rodgers. I'm not asking for an injury, but I wouldn't be sad if he got knocked out. And then, boom, at Cincinnati. That's a state rivalry, bro. That could be real interesting to see where Cleveland is in the state of Cincinnati under Jake Browning. So, yeah, I mean, do you think the Browns are going to get in this playoffs, or do you think this is going to eventually catch up to Flacco? 8-5, bro. 8-5.
You just got to keep him upright long enough that, again, I just don't let him get touched. If Flacco gets touched, I think this is immediate. I'm serious. Like, I know it sounds like a joke, but I'm at that age, especially because it's different when you're like Brady, who he had continued to play as a starter, so he's in the mix 24/7 type situation.
Yeah,
I promise you, enough shots happen, Flacco will slow down.
Yeah, we're gonna see. As I was saying, the Cincinnati Bengals here under Jake Browning looks like they may be turning things around here without Joe Burrow. He made his third NFL start here, Jake Browning, and the 27-year-old was outstanding, leading the Bengals over the Colts here, 34-14. He threw 2 touchdown passes, ran for a touchdown himself, threw for 275 yards. He did throw 1 interception, but and T. Higgins got himself going with 2 catches for 72 yards here. Gardner Minshew for the Colts threw for 240, but in the end, nowhere near enough offense to hang with these Bengals. And the Bengals look like they have found their second string quarterback that they can rally around. The Nick Foles to the Carson Wentz Joe Burrow here. And who knows what can happen with these Bengals now going forward. So what do you think? Is this a little bit of fool's gold, or do you think the Bengals might be actually dangerous again now?
I still think that they're a good team. You know, I don't think that ever changed. I just think that when you have not just a franchise quarterback, but an elite franchise quarterback in Burrow, because when Burrow is healthy, Burrow is a monster.
Yes,
he's doing the things that they wanted Herbert to do. So Herbert might have slightly better numbers, but Burrow makes clutch plays when he is healthy. That's the problem. They don't protect him very well, so he doesn't normally stay healthy. So but
yeah, I want to see the Bengals get in here. I think they deserve it. And I like to see Jake Browning do so. I love people that come out of nowhere and take control of teams. And then, you never know what can happen. Like Nick Foles leading the Eagles to a Super Bowl victory over the Patriots, for God's sakes, in the Super Bowl. Something much better quarterbacks than him weren't able to do with just as good a team. So,
Did something happen to Jonathan Taylor? Why didn't he play?
Yeah, he's still in. He got injured in the training or leading up to the game and did not play.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
That was a big thing for the Colts as well. So yeah.
Then that puts further up on it. That's let's see. Head coach said the Colts will see how Taylor progresses in his recovery from right thumb surgery throughout the week.
Yep.
So he had the surgery on his thumb. I mean, he could come back, but that's not good, bro. That's really bad.
I agree. We got two, before we get to the rest of the games in the NFL, we got two Streamlabs here. One from our venerable Kansas City Chiefs fan, Sean Brennan, who says, Winston, your insights are as brilliant as ever. Rocha, going away from the Chiefs Bills. Apparently I'm not brilliant. There seems to be a consensus about how poor the refereeing as a whole has been this year. Do you agree? And what would you do to fix it? No, I do agree. Like legitimately, the refereeing has not been great. So you could argue that across the board, there has been some bad calls. I think overall in sports recently, refereeing across all sports has been terrible. Watching the Premier League this year, there have been some terrible refereeing decisions. Watching the NBA, as little NBA as I've watched so far, been some weird, bad decisions. College football, and of course in the NFL. So, what would I do to fix it? It's tough to say because the training is there, the money is there. They've done all they can. I think it's time to stop protecting referees, and by that I mean, if your referee fucks up, you step up and you admit it, and you work harder on training this guy. Referees are just like fucking players. All right. If Kadarius Toney has to realize not to put his foot on the line, then this other referee has to stop fucking up and calling bad calls, right? Not the same referee that called the call. I'm saying another referee that's doing as terrible calls as Kadarius Toney is by staying offsides multiple times in a game. These are these things you have to fix. So for me, it would be about taking ownership of the mistakes, calling out the refs, getting them into harder training, making sure they don't call any more games so they lose money, so they focus better. There's motivation. That's what I would do to fix it. Winston, any thoughts on how you'd fix bad refereeing in the NFL?
I mean, I think that there should be an ability to, coach's challenge, I think, is wrong. But I think there should be a way to ask for a second opinion. You have all of these broadcasts where you have the head person calling it. There should be the coach should be able to go, I want to get Mike Steratore on the phone and have him take a look and see if this really is pass interference or whatever. Because I think part of my problem is this is years ago, but I think about that Saints Rams, lack of call. There has to be a way, because I see the NBA added that, and I think it actually has been helpful that you can challenge fouls and be like, I don't know about all that. And they'll take a look at it. There should be some sort of way to do that, because you are setting yourself up for failure if you think that this won't affect the product in the long run. I think the only thing that ends up working that a lot of people maybe don't know, and there was a really funny player making fun of a ref later, being like, don't worry, you ain't gonna be here. After each game, the refs and the calls they've made are graded. Yes. And they're giving a graded scale. And that's why the calls tend to be pretty spot on the deeper and deeper you get into the playoffs. Because if myself, Rocha, Mark Ellis, and Christian are the four refs that all had a 95 grade and everybody was 94 below or whatever, then we're the four that end up reffing the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? It's not the crew out of LA or the crew out of Texas. They'll literally pull, if Rocha's in San Diego, I'm in LA, Christian's in New York, Ellis is in Washington. The four of us are flown in to ref that game. So I think that you just have to hope that you can continue to have these cats get that kind of leadership to get better. And you just have to hope it moves forward from there.
You don't get better if you don't get called out. You don't admit the mistakes and then learn from the mistakes.
Yeah. Ask all of the Chiefs wide receivers. If they got called out, they would start playing better.
Yeah, true. And I will say this as a little bit of a peace offering to Sean Brennan. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year, this will be the greatest accomplishment ever in the history of this Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes partnership. That's what I'll say.
Absolutely.
Right. The rest of the games here, Justin Fields led the Bears to a shock 28-13 win over the NFC North leading Lions. Will Levis, as you said earlier, Winston, rallied the Titans for 2 late touchdowns to beat the Dolphins. Or Tyreek Hill having an injury early in the game certainly affected the Dolphins, but still they lost 28-27 here. Tommy DeVito, Jersey's own, led a clutch drive to lead to a field goal that helped the New York Giants beat the Green Bay Packers 24-22. As we said earlier, Russell Wilson for the Broncos threw 2 touchdown passes to lead them past the Chargers 24-7. Zach Wilson looks reborn here, just as Aaron Rodgers is hinting that he can come back from injury. Zach Wilson led these Jets to a 30-16 win over the Texans. As we said, CJ Stroud leaving late. Listen, that game was out of hand before CJ left. So the Jets were going to win that game no matter what, 30-6. Kate Otten hauled in an 11-yard scoring pass with 31 seconds to lead the Bucs past the Falcons 29-25. An important battle there for the NFC South. Derek Carr overcame some injuries and a rough start and led the Saints past the Panthers here 28-6. Bailey Zapp threw 3 touchdowns for the Patriots as they beat the Steelers Thursday night 21-18. And then the Vikings outlasted the Raiders in the final minute of the game, winning 3-0. That is not a soccer score or a football score. That's an NFL score, 3-0. So anything to talk about from these games, Winston?
I want to say real quick, if because I'm seeing some argument about the refs.
Yeah.
I just Googled as of this was an article from November 23rd, 2023. Experts have the average NFL ref salary in 2022 at $205,000.
Dude, I'm a train
right now. If you are making 6 figures and not just like the low 6, just hit 100. Yeah. You're making $205,000 a year. Yes, these are multimillionaires that are playing, but if that as an American, do you know how much money that is for most of the rest of us? Like that's wild. So now I really so what Haskell was saying, like a lot of them are accountants or they do other jobs.
Yeah,
that bitch, you better quit your other job. Yeah. You are making $205,000 to only essentially work 4 weeks of preseason.
Yeah.
Plus another 17 games. It's 21 weeks essentially. Plus give it like another 3 to 4 playoff weeks. You're working for roughly 25 to 30 weeks a year. You get 22 weeks off, and you're making $205,000 when teachers out here barely able to have a pot to piss in. Step your game up. Ain't gonna be no bad reffing when you're making that kind of money. That's actually infuriating.
Yeah, if you're making $200,000, why do you have another job? Like that's more than enough for you to focus on being an NFL referee. And if your other job is affecting your ability to referee a game during the season because your mind's not 100% focused on the job that you're doing, then you need to be removed. It's that fucking simple. Choose the job. Choose the fucking job. It's that simple. Many Americans are not blessed enough to make 6 figures, let alone $200,000. Not just entry level 6 figures at $100,000, $200,000. So that's completely other ball game. My God, that's insane to me. All right, let's hit one last story. We got to get on out of here because I got to go and jump on another show here. The Lakers, Winston, won the in-season tournament championship for the NBA, and they have the gall to be hanging this banner up with the rest of their NBA championships. What is this nonsense? They went 7-0 in the tournament. They beat the Pacers and Tyler Halliburton. They beat an overweight Zion Williamson and the Pelicans. But in the end, though, this, in my opinion, means jack shit. So I don't know what your thoughts on it are. I mean, they were champagne and beer, and they were celebrating like they'd won a legitimate championship. I don't know. I think it's ridiculous. Winston, am I insane? Go ahead. Wait, Jordan never won an in-season tournament.
Neither did Kobe, bro. Neither did Kobe. Kobe, Jordan, none of them. Look, I'll put it to you this way.
Yeah.
It is something that the NBA is introducing. It sounds like it's something that is here to stay. It sounds like it's something that is intentionally set to try and put a little more pressure and a little more stuff in there. So, if it is a situation where ultimately the end season tournament becomes no big deal, fine, take it back down. Okay.
That's true.
But as of now, it is something that is supposed to be meant something, including the fact that LeBron said it himself. He was hell-bent on winning the in-season tournament MVP because he would then be the first ever in-season tournament MVP. Who else can say that? You know what I'm saying? That's real talk. So I think as long as it is a thing that they're very serious about making a big deal, by all means, go for it. I don't know that's essentially what that feels like. Is someone being like, well, you didn't win the NCAA college football championship, so your little bowl game doesn't mean shit. Apparently, I don't follow college football.
Right.
It's a little too much for me. Too many teams, too many all that other stuff. Right. But apparently, those bowl games mean something. So if the bowl games mean something, then there's no reason that this shouldn't either. I understand the $500,000 prize. That's a little weird. What are a bunch of millionaires going to do with 500K split amongst the whole team? You know what I'm saying? If it was like the $500, that 500,000 immediately goes to a foundation.
Yeah, that's
if it goes to like a random employee of your stadium. Any of that would have been super cool. So you're playing for Bob, the janitor, bro, who was like out here doing all y'all's dirty laundry. If y'all win the tournament, he just won $500,000. You do something like that, I would rock the fuck out of that shit. That's fire. But like $500,000 to split amongst LeBron, Anthony Davis, like, what? Why? Okay.
Here, Austin. Here's somebody.
Do that shit for Bob. Do that shit for my boy Bob. That's what I'm saying. Bob would love $500,000.
I just want to say, man, we did this for Bob. And
yo, my nigga Bob had the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches ready before the game, bro, and after. That's my guy. They each won $500K. Okay, again, I would say would
$500K each. Oh, okay.
which is fine. Maybe the third string guy. That's a big deal because maybe you're not. But I think it has to be do some shit where it's like, if you win the tournament, either a charity or some charity starts at home. Somebody in your facility just made $500,000 because you won this tournament. And then I feel like people will be so about it because then all of a sudden, everybody live in Los Angeles, my nigga Bob about to win that money, baby.
But, it's a new thing. But here's the deal. Like in football, in the English Premier League, they have the FA Cup. The FA Cup is like essentially the in-season tournament. Mm-hmm. But, of course, you're not going to but in the FA Cup, they have all the divisions in football, in English football, who are able to play for the FA Cup. They do not have like, the G League and the D League and all those other places playing for this. This is very much an in-season tournament for the NBA. So it's a fun way, just like playing for the final two spots there for the playoffs. They're trying to make the NBA interesting in different ways during the regular season. So why not? But I don't think it's a banner you should be hanging on your fucking rafters, for God's sakes. But
I don't know. Do football teams not hang up anytime they win the NFC East?
I'm
AFC
saying for the
North,
Lakers, because the Lakers have always said we don't hang conference championship banners, we don't hang division championship banners, we hang championship banners.
But this is are the playoffs, the NBA Finals, not a tournament. They hang up tournament championship wins.
I guess you're
not
right.
regular season wins. They hang up tournament championship wins. It seems like a tournament champion, so
I guess technically true. People want to ask us about the Otani thing real quick. Yeah, Shohei Otani just signed for the Dodgers for $700 million. He is getting, I think, $2 million a year, and then 10 years later, he's going to get his $680 million, which is insane. I just don't know. That's a big fucking carrot to be hanging in front of your career for 10 years. And
it's guaranteed if it makes you feel any better. And so I think
it's guaranteed. Right.
I F with it for this reason.
Okay.
Otani is aware of the fact that he ain't winning no World Series by himself.
True.
So in order to be able to pay the rest of the team, if you are making the biggest sports contract in history, maybe not average per year, because you could look at some Cristiano Ronaldo contracts where it's like he's getting paid $565 million over 2.5 years.
Right.
But if you're talking about the largest amount of money signed to a player in a contract in the history of sports, you cannot pay him $70 million a year and keep Kershaw and Betts and anybody else you need to try and win a World Series. So it makes logical sense. And I applaud the Dodgers for figuring that out, and Otani for being like, that works for me, because you also have to remember he is Japan's darling, so he has plenty of endorsements here, and he has way more endorsements over there. He will be fine.
And moving to LA, he's going to get endorsements up the ass to cover up any of that extra stuff. You're so right. All right, well, let's see if we got any more Streamlabs before we get on out of here. Keith Murphy, the Unbeaten, says, if Brock Purdy is only Hawkeye, why couldn't they function in the NFC Championship without him? The Avengers could function without Hawkeye. Hey, that's logical. That makes sense. Winston.
Say that one more time.
If Brock Purdy is only Hawkeye, then why couldn't the 49ers win the NFC Championship last year without him? The Avengers can function and win without Hawkeye.
No, they couldn't, because again, Hawkeye was mind controlled by Loki and he was giving them the business. Second of all, if he isn't there with Nat when they have to go get the Soul Stone, you're not getting the Soul Stone. Third of all, if he's not running around with that gauntlet and keeping it from all those monsters, Thanos wins. So no, you cannot win without Hawkeye. Okay, every Avenger was key at some point or another to do what needs to be done. All 6 of them were very special, and it actually reminds me of a Justice League episode of the cartoon back in the 2000s where they were like, yo, like they're like they can't turn themselves in. The original 7 members, like, what does that mean? It's like, look, some of them are the strongest there are, and a lot of them aren't. Some of them are just regular ass dudes. But they are special. They have something very special about them that makes them more important and makes them more lethal than other people that are there. And I would tell you, Clint's got a lot of stuff on a number of different people, and you're not going to put no disrespect on Hawkeye's name. He's still Hawkeye, though. Of the 6, he's the last one I'm calling, but he's still important.
He's no Bob. Let me tell you that right now.
He's no Bob.
Keith Murphy also says, so you trust McCarthy to out-scheme Shanahan? I don't, but one can dream. Hey, listen, you can always beat somebody once. You can always beat somebody.
I'll just tell you this much. One of them is a Super Bowl champion, and one of them is not.
That's 100% a fair point. That's
one of them has gone to the Super Bowl twice and failed, and one of them has not.
That's a fair point. 100% fair point. One last one from I Am Too Fly Cam. Congrats to your Cowboys on the early Super Bowl win, Winston. Oh, wait, they didn't win anything yet. Possibly the worst front runners ever. LOL. That's nonsense. My Seahawks will rise again next year. I still have the Bucs to win a chip this year. You're crazy. I Am Too Fly Cam was bragging that his Seahawks are going to make the playoffs. Now that they're sucking ass, he's like, next year, I tell you, get out of here. Geno Smith and Drew Lock ain't winning you fucking shit, okay? That's the truth. But
I mean, Drew Lock would win a damn good rap karaoke contest.
No, fair
point. My boy knows all of Jeezy's lyrics.
Get him on Wild and Out, for God's sakes. But look at this idea of the Cowboys are not the worst front runners ever. I mean, there's a legitimate team here, man. So it's kind of crazy.
I would make the argument that the Vikings last year were one of the worst front runners because again, they were fraudulent. You could see through it.
Yeah. There's no worse front runner in all of sports than the Toronto Raptors with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. Nonsense.
Kyle Lowry.
Nonsense. The Cavaliers swept them the fuck on out. Anyway, all right, let's get out of here. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us this afternoon. This was a lot of fun. Winston, brother, I always have a great time with you talking this stuff. Thank God you're around to let me talk about this stuff with somebody who's a bit more calmer, a bit more rational than I am. So I appreciate it. Please let people know where they can find you and everything you got going on, my man.
I feel like the only reason Sean comes back is because every time you jump off a cliff, I'm so quick to be like, oh, and I pull the bungee cord to bring you back, bro. You can find me at the Swaggy Blurred on all the platforms. Go over to my YouTube channel and check it out. I've got my Scott Pilgrim Takes Off reviews. I got some other stuff popping up over there. And you can see me on Capes and Cows. We've been having some technical difficulties recently, but it sounds like things have kind of worked themselves out. So we should be back this Friday. And then we've got some good stuff coming at the end of the year. We'll talk Aquaman when that drops. And then we're going to do our best of 2023 as far as comic book and superhero stuff. So you don't want to miss that.
Nice. Yeah. I was on the big thing on Monday with Christian. We've talked about me coming on there a little more frequently on Mondays. And he was telling me about that you guys lost the whole episode, which is heartbreaking. My God,
dude,
heartbreaking.
It was so bad.
I've had that happen a couple times in my 5-6 years of doing this, and it is devastating.
It's happened twice now.
Oh,
there was one with just me and Christian, and that failed. And then it got doubly bad last week where there was a computer issue. I was helping him fix it. And there were something went wrong when we were trying to run an update, and it just wiped everything from the day. It's a whole thing. So yeah, but things should be good now.
Yeah, things should be good. So yeah, definitely watch Winston on Capes and Cows with Coy and Christian there on his channel. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. But of course, subscribe to this one here. I will be much more committed to doing more sports content, making some moves here to add more videos to the channel. So subscribe down below and hit that bell button as well. Thanks to the Streamlabs thanks for the Streamlabs. We don't have super chats yet, and thanks for the lively chat. You guys are the best. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the week of football. Don't forget to set your lineups if you're in NFL fantasy, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new
Saturday games. Saturday games this week. Don't forget there's Saturday games.
Yeah. Saturday games there, bro. And
we'll hard way last year.
Talk to you next time on a brand new episode of Game Time. Peace, everybody. Take